Hello, hello. I'm so excited to be with you today for our first live session of Healing Motherhood, a podcast that we have just started just to bring moms together for us to just be raw and real, talk about motherhood as a whole, and of course, our own experiences of being a mother, and then just to kind of share that with other moms that are watching us. We're streaming to 4 different places. So, of course, we have our 2 Facebook groups. We have YouTube and Twitch. So if you are watching us through any of those, please let us know. And I am going to go ahead and tag here as I do. And if you catch us on a replay, please do give us a hashtag replay so that we know that you have at least been able to catch the replay. And today I have a very special guest, someone that I met through a post. So kind of an accidental meeting that's turned into a beautiful friendship. But I post one day on a travel group actually for ladies around the world. And I'll posted about my experiences traveling through Thailand with my kids, because at that time I was a single mom of 2. So it was quite an experience. And please forgive me just tagging. There we go. So it was quite an experience to be able to do that with my kids. And then beautiful Bridgett, who I'll bring on in a moment, actually reached out to me and said, that's something that she really wanted to do. And we got chatting. So that was over a year ago. I'm so amazed that we have come so far. And Bridgett is actually back in Thailand. So I'm so excited. So without further ado, here's lovely Bridgett. Hey, Bridge.
Hey, Terri.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for saying yes to be the first on our podcast, and for us to see, how this is going to go and the direction that we're going to take this podcast in. But I thought it would be so amazing to start off with you, because I have witnessed your journey over the last year and a half, and just to see you grow and obviously doing all these wonderful things that you're doing with your daughter. But more importantly, like, you're a single mom. So what does that actually look like, being a single mom for all these years? Because you've done it for a long time. I only had a little taste of it, and it wasn't easy. So tell us more about being a single mom.
Okay, Terri. Well, firstly, thank you for having me here. It's a privilege to be the first of hopefully many on this wonderful platform that you've developed. So being a single mom has many challenges. It's not only roses all the time.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter's father passed away when she was 4 years old. So it's been a long journey. Courtney is now 15, and she's really blossomed into a beautiful child. So I think I haven't done such a bad job. And it's challenging at times. I mean, there's not much support that comes when you lose your spouse. I do tend to find that, and I may step on some toes here, and I'm really sorry about that, but it's a fact. And I just do the best I can. I was working in corporate, and one day I just had this moment where I'm like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this for myself anymore. So I started to look at options of Thailand. I had come here on holiday before, and I absolutely fell in love the moment I was here. And I was only here for 1 week, and I absolutely loved this place. I was like, this speaks to my soul. This is like what I want for my life and for my child. And when I came here, Courtney didn't come with me, so it was something I wanted to experience with her. And in 2019, I think it was February, I just sat in my job, and I had a good job. I worked for a pharmaceutical company, and I was a secretary, and I had wonderful bosses. And I just decided, I'm so tired of this. So I booked a ticket. I sold everything that I owned, right down to the last teaspoon in my drawer. And Courtney and I packed our suitcase, and we came to Thailand. And it was a wonderful 6 months. I got my TEFL certificate, and I started working in a school in Bangkok, and it was absolutely amazing. But I couldn't seem to get things to work right. And then I
Mm.
went home, which was such a sad time for both Courtney and I. I mean, making that decision to come back home was one of the worst things that I had to do. Um, and I wish I had met you while I was here, because that probably wouldn't have happened. But you know what? I guess fate has its way of
Divine
working.
time, it's all about timing, right?
And I feel like maybe I needed to go back to South Africa because I had some work to do. And I had some work to do on myself, because I don't feel that I was showing up for myself as much as I used to. I had lost the sense of myself. So I went back to South Africa, and I was there for COVID. And all I kept thinking about was getting back to Thailand and how could I make this possible? I mean, during COVID, there was no way to get a job. My daughter was doing homeschool like everyone else was. And eventually, I was on Facebook one night. I still remember I was lying in bed and doing the normal scrolling, watching, scrolling. And I saw this purple angel. And I was like, let me read this story. It was quite long, but I read it and I was like, I'm going to message her and she's probably going to think I'm totally cooked, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm the kind of person that I always bounce back. I may get down, I may fall, but I always get back up. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to speak to this woman and see what she says. And I think my words were something around the lines of, you may think I'm crazy, but how did you get it right? I think that's kind of
Yeah.
where the conversation
And it
went.
was something like, you're probably not going to respond or something
Yeah,
like that.
it was, because when I started typing, I'm like, you probably won't respond to me because you don't want some cook person in your DMs. And then I just asked and I'm like, okay, maybe she's not going to reply. And oh my God, you replied. And my life changed. And, you know, I started working on myself and self-development. And it was an amazing journey. And it gave me that fire inside of me to actually get my ass back to Thailand. And again, it was February when I met you. So I kind of have something about February, the second month. There must be something about twos.
Mine is March. It's so weird because I said the same thing to Vern. It's like everything happens in March. It's so weird.
So my big decision happened in February again. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make this happen. And so I started on the self development. And I think it was, and you can stand by and correct me, but I think it was, I had set a goal to come to Thailand December last year. And then I moved it up to October because I'm very impatient and I want what I want. When I say something, I want it done right there and then. And my daughter can vouch for that. And I could not wait. So I worked my ass off. I was pushed into online teaching because I was so scared of myself in front of the camera. And again, my little purple angel said, go for it. And I started teaching online. And within 2 months, I had sold everything again, booked a ticket. And in June, we were here in Thailand. And
Amazing. I'll
our
never
life,
forget that though. You were like a steam train. Nothing could stop you. You had a goal. I remember us having that like strategy call, you showing me everything, and everything was done. Like in less than half of the time. I was super impressed. Like if there's anything I've learned, Bridge, is like how to be a good role model. That's what I learned from you because your daughter's just watching you, probably in awe. Like, my mom says she's doing something and she doesn't. Like, she doesn't mess around, which is so awesome.
I hope that's one of the traits I can pass on to her. That
Oh,
she realizes that when you need something and you want something so bad that you feel it in your core, you will do anything and everything, and you won't stop at anything to get it.
yeah.
And you'll work your ass off if you have to. I mean, my last month in South Africa, I worked so much. I did over 100 online lessons, which, I mean, to some people, they're like, huh? But if you do online teaching, 145-minute lessons is a lot of time. Okay. I think I did 103, to be honest. And my friends were like, "You're leaving next month and we never see you." And I'm like, "But you don't understand. I need to work so that I can get there, because I just, I had a goal and I was not going to stop until I saw that finish line." And
Amazing.
here we are. And I mean, we have a wonderful life here. And I just made a decision yesterday that I am going to now move to another province in Thailand. And everyone's like, "What the?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, so I'm like, that's it. It's done. I want to do it. I feel like I need a change of scenery. And I mean, my daughter does her schooling. No matter where we are, it doesn't affect her as long as she has internet and her
Mhm.
computer and electricity, which is such a wonderful thing here. Then she can do her school. If we're on a bloody cruise, as long as she can connect to a Wi-Fi, she can do schoolwork. So our life is very different, and people don't see it that way. I mean, I do get a lot of criticism, and I'm sure a lot of people criticize me and don't say it to my face, but that's okay,
It's
because
none of your business anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
but I do what I do and I do the best I can do, and my daughter is actually doing really amazing.
Yeah, she's living proof that you're doing a good job. And let's go back a little bit. You said something about losing yourself, because I think that that's when you were saying that, I remember having that exact moment of like, what the F? Who is this girl? And what am I doing with my life? And I think as moms, and I guess men have their own story, but we're focusing on moms, so we won't take anything away from them. But as moms, we really do lose our identity around that, what's expected of us from society, or even now saying like, oh, people criticize you and stuff. We constantly have this pressure of who we're supposed to be. So why do you think we end up in that place?
You know what? Is that why there's a ringing? Is that you
That's
or me?
my laptop, sorry.
Oh, I thought it was me, and I'm like, I don't see anything here. Anyway, so I just feel that because we have grown up in the society we grow up in, everybody expects things to be done a specific way. They want things to be done exactly this way. This is how we are taught in school. This is the way our parents teach us how to do things. And that's what they expect. So if you do something out of the norm, if you want to call it that, then it's frowned upon. And if anything, I'm far from normal. I don't always like to do everything according to the book. And it's not like I'm a rebel and I go out and break the law, break the rules and break the law and that kind of thing. But if I feel in my soul that something inside of me is starting to die, I'm going to try and make a change so that I can uplift myself again. If my energy starts to drop, I want to do things to uplift that. So um, I also have started to adopt the saying that I don't really. It's not like I don't care what people think, but that's their opinion of me. So
Hmm.
I live my life to the best that I can, so that one day when I go to the Golden Gates or wherever it is that I'll end up going, I can say I lived a full life. I taught my child that there's more to life than just ABC, and
Yeah.
that she can then hopefully live her life the way that her mom did and grow and just not be stuck in the same routine every day.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. I think that we get stuck in that even when we have that little, that knowing, as we call it, saying, hold on a moment, this isn't me, this isn't my life, this is not making me happy, because we're so stuck in that loop and that rut and that conditioning, we end up staying there, right? And we stay there. And it just makes us so, so uncomfortable and miserable. Bridgett, I have to be rude for 2 seconds. As you know, we are having this live from my work where I'm not supposed to be today, but someone is trying to get in the door downstairs and I've locked up. So I'm just going to run down for 1 second and open for them.
No
Um,
problem.
Give me a moment.
No problem. I'll just stand here, sit here and wait.
sorry. I hope you didn't get too lonely.
No, not at all. I was having some coffee and reading the comments. There's only one. Two.
Awesome.
My daughter and your husband.
Yes, our biggest fans, but there are other people watching. So we do have someone on Twitch as well. And normally the people that watch on Twitch are always so quiet. But at least, we have other people watching. So coming back to what we're talking about now, do you think that being a single mom is what's given you that fire, not to give up on yourself? Where you hear that little voice inside, and sometimes it's easy to just ignore it and continue. But do you think because you don't have a choice, you just keep going?
Yes, I think you're right there. Look, in the past, before I had my daughter, I was always a go-getter and that kind of thing. However, since I had my daughter, my whole purpose of life changed, and I will do anything and everything I can, and I have to provide for her. And I've told you that just now. But I'm not one to sit still for very long. Like, I cannot be kept down. And that's something that a lot of people that know me know about me, is that if something, I may be down for a while, but I get back up. And trust me, when I get back up, I come back stronger than before, because I just can't be normal. And I say normal because
what is normal?
Exactly. But I can't be like that. Like, it's not in me to just accept things the way they are. Like, during COVID also, it was so difficult for everybody, or Corona, whatever you want to call it, because so many people don't always know the same thing. And it was so difficult for me to stay indoors for 21 days when they first locked us down, because I kind of felt like I was being contained. I feel like a butterfly, and don't hold me back. I need to go. Like, if I have stuff to do. And then, like, I started working here, literally not working for anybody, but working for myself. So I can't be kept down. And that's the thing. Every mom should have that in them, where they just, even when you feel like giving up. There's days where, trust me, it's not all roses. There's days where I feel like I don't even want to get out of bed, because I just don't feel I have that little bit left to give. And then I hear my little daughter, not my little, she's not little anymore. I hear her in the next room, and I'm like, oh, you've got it again. Let's just go. Pull yourself together. Let's go. And here we are. It's been 15 years of up and down, and I'm just so glad. I've had some wonderful people help me along the way and support. So it's not always a lonely journey.
No, but it really does take a village to raise a child. It really does. And this is the thing that obviously I want to create with this kind of space that we have, our Facebook group, and of course these podcasts, is bringing women back together as community, so that we are raising our children together. We are helping each other heal and to grow and all of those things. I think for too long we've been separated and forced to do these things on our own, when we're actually supposed to be in community, so it's just so beautiful that we can do this. And Bridge, if there are any single moms that catch this, in our groups, obviously they can reach out to you privately if they wanted to. But is there any advice that you would give them if they're in that place of feeling so stuck and not able to move forward, like they have no hope, they have no support, just like you felt at one point?
I felt like that more than once. And you know what? Just remember that you are worth so much more. And if you think about deep down inside of you, we all have that extra to give. It's just some people have to look deeper than others, because a lot of the time you become very codependent of your partner. And then suddenly that partner is gone, whether it be through divorce or death or whatever it is. Just know that you can dig down deep. And there are communities like this, which are amazing. Becoming a part of your community was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I felt like a loner for so long. And now I don't feel like that anymore. I've had days, and where I've reached out to you where I'm in tears and I'm like, what the am I doing? And, like you've picked me up so many times. And I mean, not only you, I've got other friends as well. But I just find that sometimes when I reach out to another mom or even women that aren't moms, and I'm like, I'm having a moment, but not everybody can relate on the same level if they're not a mom.
That's so true.
So I've got some friends that are not moms, but they still give me really great advice. But then the moms relate so much more, and the fact that there's a community out there that we can get together, whether it be on a chat or a video call. I mean, I don't mind chatting with somebody that I don't know. I mean, if somebody just needs a friend, they can definitely reach out to me, not a problem.
Yeah.
And we all here for each other.
I think that's the biggest thing, is that level of understanding and compassion for another person. Like we know what it feels like to be down and out and feel alone. So just for somebody to just message like you did that day, wondering if I was even going to message back, just being that person on the other side of that message, and giving to somebody what you needed once upon a time, I think is amazing. And obviously what makes our community so awesome as well. Just had to put it out there a little bit. And so, Bridge, obviously you've got all this exciting stuff happening and you've got a move planned. How have you found all of this transitioning through these different phases of your life with your daughter? Do you find it easy to do so? I mean, she's a teenager now. So I remember when I was in Thailand with mine, she just wasn't having it. She was kicking up a storm and just wanted to go back home, didn't want to know anything of it. So how's your experience been trying to move along?
Okay, so at first she was extremely excited to come. And then we arrived here and we were okay the first month. Come month 2, and then she asked me if she could go back home. And I was like, I really was taken back and my heart was broken because I had literally done everything in my power to get here. So I said to her, let me think about it for a bit. And then I came back with the thing, you can go back, but then you have to go to boarding school, because I'm a single mom, and maybe it'll come across to people like I was being selfish, but
No.
I was not going to go back. And I've made it very clear that there was no way on this earth that I was going to go back. I would go on holiday, no problem, but I was not going back. So I gave her the choice of going to a boarding school, because I don't have someone that she can go and stay with there and be like, okay, they will be looking after my child. She can go to school and everything. And so she thought about it, and then she said, no, she's not going to go back. And 2 months later, we had the same cycle again. And I do understand that it's a big change for her as well. I really do. It's a new city. We've never lived in the city we're staying in now. But now we've made friends, and we had no friends, and she's had no friends. So it was like, I want to go home. And it was another crying, and eventually she's come to terms with it. But now that I've said I want to move again, now she's not very happy with me.
I'm sure.
She's kicking. No, she's not kicking, but I'm getting like the cold shoulder at the moment, and it hurts because I just want the best for both of us.
Absolutely.
And I think she will see it eventually, but it's just so difficult when you're the only one that has to make the decisions. It's so hard when you don't have someone to bounce ideas off. And that's something that I do. I miss having, actually, I don't know if I miss it, should I say, but having that someone to like, okay, is this a good idea? Or what do you think? Give me suggestions. Like, let's bounce ideas off each other. It's just me. And also, I'm the mom, I'm the friend, I'm the discipliner. And it's very hard to try and be all these things because, I mean, somebody once told me, it's someone here that I've met in Thailand, and it was actually our neighbor. He said to me, you need to stop being her friend and start being her mom. She needs her mom. And I do find when I'm mom, I get the cold shoulder, and I get the, she's angry with me and she talks back to me. But when I'm the friend, then I'm cool, and then I don't get any of that. And you know what? It comes with the territory, and it's okay. I know she still loves me, and I still love her, so it's fine.
Yeah, it is hard because you do have to have those, like those boundaries, I guess, and nobody can really tell you what to do because you're the one that's been with her and you understand your relationship the most. But I totally get that, like 100%, that it can be so hard because you are wearing all of the hats. Is she sitting there? I love you, Quartz.
She just looked over the back of my laptop and she was giving me this glare, but she gave me that beautiful dimple smile that you know, so that's why
Yes.
I blew her a kiss.
And it is difficult, and it's hard also when there's people around you that want to share their advice. And I get it because I think I've also said to you that you have to sometimes have those boundaries. But she's also at a different age now, where you can be a friend. You don't only have to be a mom. So I can only imagine how difficult that is.
Yeah.
But it's good though that you've been able to build this relationship with her, and obviously her losing her dad has been quite tough. But how have you managed that role and healing that for both of you?
Uh, I only healed that part of me last year when I was doing my self-development. Courtney is still working on that, but I do notice now the older she gets, the more it's starting to hit her. And I know it's been 11 years this year. So a lot of people will be like, well, she should be over it. But when she was younger, it it didn't quite hit her like it hits, like, if I had to lose my dad now, it would break me because I've been with him for so many years and everything. But Courtney, when she was 4 years old, I mean, when I told her, there was no reaction. Even at his funeral, there was no reaction. So now that she's older, she's having this longing for her dad because I've never let him die. Like, no, I've never let the memory of him die. So she's got beautiful pictures of her dad and her as a baby, and she puts them up in her room. And so now she's having that longing for that relationship with her dad. And I mean, we are trying to reach out. Oh, now she's crying and I feel terrible.
Oh, don't. Oh.
She's been having really bad moments lately, and I don't know how to deal with it. And then she doesn't want to cry in front of me because my child is a very strong person like her mom.
Was
So
just about to say, where did she get that from?
she'll go and cry in her room, and then when I go in there, she'll say, I don't want to cry in front of you, Mom. And then I'll be like, but it's okay. It's okay. And she refuses to cry in front of me. So I just wish she would let that part of her out. And I'm not saying so that we can move on, so that we can work through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that you at least understand and you can hold her hand through the process. But I suppose that you hit the nail on the head there, that she's just mimicking what mom does. Mom doesn't show her emotion, does she?
Nope.
No.
I will rather send her outside or downstairs or somewhere so that I can cry to you on the phone than let her see me crying on the phone to you.
So interesting. We have to be so careful because we are doing so much work on ourselves, and we're learning, after unlearning. So it's so important that we try and give this space. And I have the same thing with my daughter who's a teen. I so badly want her to show emotion, but sometimes when she does, it's extremely triggering for me. I don't know if you ever find that, but sometimes I just can't manage. It's like extremely overwhelming and I feel bad. But I think a lot of it is because maybe it kind of tickles my wounded inner child in some way, and then after the conversation, I'll actually have to really sit with myself and be like, ooh, why did that make me so uncomfortable?
You know what I do find? Like, Courtney's getting older now, and she tends to backchat me. And I'm like, what? I see myself in her. And when
But
she
this is
does
a
it,
normal thing, isn't it? Aren't they meant to backchat? And it's not even like they're not really doing it to, backchat, really. They're just trying to have their own boundaries and their own personality. And we're just like, whatever, because my mom would have backhanded me and said, don't you speak to me like that.
exactly. And that's what I'm like, I see these things. I see her backchatting me. But like when I say I see it, I mean, I visualize me as a child where if I had to speak to my mother that way, I would have been I would have had a smack through the face or something. And I look at her and I'm like, don't talk to me like that. And she goes, what? I'm just having my say. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I have told her she needs to speak her mind. So I guess I just need to like take it. And she doesn't always mean it in a disrespectful way, but because she's back chatting me, I'm like, don't disrespect me like that.
But that's exactly it. We're so triggered. And we really have to check in with ourselves because we're so triggered by it. And actually, they mean no harm, but we're so
Yeah.
offended by their tone and what they say. And I think it's just the way we were programmed as kids from our own mothers, right?
Yes. I mean, look, I was lucky growing up. My dad always taught me to speak my mind. So, but now there's some times when I speak my mind and he's like, what are you saying? I'm like, you programmed me this way. This is why I do this, because you always said to me, I used to always call him aside and be like, Dad, can I please have a glass of cold drink? Or Dad, I want to do this. And he would be like, he said to me the one day, you stop doing that. And now when I'm like so loud and outgoing and say what I want to say, it's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you taught me to speak my mind or ask for what I want or say what I want. So now I do it. And now it's like, you didn't tell me there was a limit on what I can say or what I can ask or what I can do.
Because then you're starting to make him feel uncomfortable, right? Like,
Okay,
it's
like
so
that's not
hard.
that. Yeah, you're right.
And so let's talk about something that's like maybe a little uncomfortable, but sorry, Courtney, if you are listening. But what about dating as a single mom? Like, what is that like? Is that just a little giggle?
Dating as a single mom is quite difficult because your child doesn't approve of everybody that's not their dad. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Courtney has always been my number one. So if somebody didn't like her, they didn't stay. Like when I first left her dad before he passed away, I dated somebody, and I won't mention names, but he was a very big a-hole. And he didn't like my daughter. He never ever used to call her Courtney. He used to call her Chutney. And I mean, Courtney was like 1.5, nearly 2 years old when I left him. And so I was like, you don't like my kid. This is not going to work. So I kind of, I don't agree with people that don't, like with my mom, on the other hand, she used to not worry about me and more about herself, where I'm very different that way. My child is number one, and that's the way mom should be. You should never discard your children to have a romance or anything with somebody.
I think there's a very fine line in that, understanding that, yes, your children come first, but you're not meant to lose yourself in the process of being a mom. Like, there's a very fine line there. Do you know what I mean? Because if you didn't start looking for your happy and move, and like now moving to another province, you would be holding yourself back and only giving to Courtney. So there's that really fine line. So I hear what you're saying, but to some extent I disagree, because I gave myself so much
Yeah.
as all of the roles that I needed to be, that I lost myself for such a long time, that I nearly then lost my whole family. So it was up to me to actually find myself, to be able to be what they needed me to be.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do is we spoke about losing myself and I lost myself in such a way that I had no confidence anymore. I didn't look at myself as beautiful. I just saw ugly and fat and nobody's interested in me. So right now, and it's a journey and I'm prepared to take it. I don't care how long it takes. I want to fill my cup before I fill anyone else's.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to love myself unconditionally, and then I can be what other people need, not want me to be. I almost said what other people want me to be. No, I will never be what someone else wants me to be. I will be me, and that's the way that, I'm not trying to come across as arrogant or anything, but I just feel that things have changed so much in my mind and inside of me since I started the self-development journey. And I believe in myself a lot more than I used to. And I definitely love myself a lot more than I used to. And coming from a past where I used to suffer terribly from depression, but I mean, so bad that I was even on antidepressants. I'm not even on any of that anymore. And I just don't feel the need for it. I have days where I'm down, but I'm not going to say I'm depressed. I mean, being down and being depressed are two different things. Like having a day where you just feel a bit low, it doesn't mean I'm going to slip into that hole of depression. And I just think that I've gone off track a little bit now. I lost my sense of track. Oh my God. Sorry.
You're talking about losing yourself. You'll never go back to that
point. There you go. I will never go back to that point where I don't love myself and where I want to always impress people and I worry about what people think. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. It's just wasted energy at the end of the day, I think. And the moment we start loving and accepting ourselves, we find that everything just falls into place around us and we start to align with people that love us anyway, like for the real, authentic person that we are. And I think that should be our main focus, is getting to that place. So what has been the biggest part of your self-development journey thus far, and how have you begun to learn to love yourself? Like what has helped you there?
Okay, well, the biggest part of my self-development was definitely working on my past traumas. Okay, so healing my inner child. And I always kind of, do you need to go again? Oh, I kind of always felt like I was suppressing everything, putting it down. I'm strong, put it down. I'm okay, put it down, and just keep doing that. And when I was told to open that can of worms, oh my goodness, that was such a hard lesson for me to do. I mean, it was very hard. And I'm glad that I've dealt with it because I can't tell you that I don't want to say I feel empty inside because I don't, but I don't have that aching pain inside of me anymore. I don't have that hatred inside of me anymore. So without that inside of me, I'm like, I can love myself again. I forgave myself, and forgiving yourself is the most important thing to start your journey to loving yourself. Yeah. I mean, I just feel that I can think of people that I've forgiven from past things. When I think of them, like before, if I thought of them, I would have this anger and this hatred, and I wouldn't even want to talk about them. Or now, like I can think about them, I feel nothing because I've put it behind me and I've moved on. And I never ever thought I would do that. So I'm glad that I sat down with that and worked through it because now I can focus purely on me. And that's what I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of journaling. Very, very important. I journal almost every day. I'm not perfect. I don't do it every day. There's some days where I do forget. I don't forget, but there's some days where I just don't do it. But I do most days. And then meditation is also very important. And I also feel affirmations. Now I have some affirmations stuck in my bathroom. And I tend to read them every morning when I'm washing my face or brushing my teeth. And I read them every night when I'm washing my face and brushing my teeth. But I also tend to listen to more motivational things that pick me up and lift my spirits and lift my energy and my vibration. And I really feel that makes a big difference in your life, because I'm not listening to all this negative talk all the time. And
Yeah.
so, and I keep telling myself that I love myself and that I'm beautiful. And
And you're gorgeous. So I don't know why you wouldn't believe that anyway. And I have to agree with the whole, self development, even though it's freaking hard, but it takes that consistency and just kind of take a moment to reprogram, everything that we've been programmed to believe about ourselves. Because a lot of it is just opinion. Like you said earlier, an opinion is not fact. So to remember
yes,
that, I think is so important.
so
And I'm not
yes, it
sure if
is.
you've experienced this as well, but since that, you know, decision to take yourself seriously, actually, and to do the work, um, you kind of start to slowly move out of that negative space without even trying, because then you start to align and attract people that are more positive and, more uplifting. I don't know if you've
Yes,
experienced that as well.
yes. And you know what? I've become more quiet. Now, that's like weird for me because I'm always one to speak and to, but lately I've been in my head a lot more. And it's not like I'm overthinking, I'm just really enjoying things around me. And I actually read somewhere the other day, and I'm sure you said it to me as well, is that meditation doesn't have to be sitting with your eyes closed and that
Mm,
kind of thing. You can literally just sit in a, you can even sit in a place and you can just zone out and meditate. I don't know if that's what I'm doing, but I've become
yeah.
so quiet and more aware of my surroundings and what I'm doing and what I'm thinking and my inside dialogue. And often my daughter will say to me, "Mom, are you okay?" And I'm like, "I promise you I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm just being. I'm here. I'm present. I'm, like there's
How
nothing wrong with it."
amazing. That's just like such inner peace, right? Where you're okay with being in your own presence and in your own silence. Because I think, that's one thing that I really struggled with for a long time, is I'd always keep myself busy and surrounded by people. I always thought, I'm this social butterfly, when in actual fact, I don't like being in big crowds at all. I'm quite okay being at home in my quiet little bubble, doing my own thing, reading, or like you said, journaling or meditating or whatever. Um, and it really takes that being alone and sitting with yourself to actually start to figure out who you really are outside of the noise and outside of the pressure of society, and obviously how we've been conditioned as well from childhood.
Yeah, for sure. And I really enjoy spending time by myself. And like often Courtney will go sit in her room and I will just sit in darkness. And it's not that I'm not sleeping. I just sit there and I'm like looking at the sky outside, or I mean like stuff that I would never think I would be doing. Or I'd go sit on the roof and just look at the stars and look at the moon.
Amazing.
I love to sit and look at the moon. I mean, I always keep a track of full moon. So I love to sit up there, and especially when we can see the moon, I will sit and look at the moon.
Amazing. I must send you the pictures that Vern took of the moon with his phone. You won't believe that he takes them from our window with his cell phone.
Oh,
They're
wow.
so insane. I'll send them to you.
There's
So
a full moon on the
amazing.
6th, so he can take some more on the 6th.
Yes. I'll be doing a
The
intention
12th.
setting actually, in the motherhood group. So anybody that's watching that's interested in doing that, that'll be so amazing. We'll be doing it, obviously privately, not streaming it like this, but we'll be doing it together. It's absolutely free. And just a nice way to kind of go into the new month and with the new moon and set your intentions and just kind of have that accountability. I think that's the biggest thing about our little community, is being able to lean on each other and have accountability when you've set an intention or you have a goal, to kind of have your little cheerleaders there saying like, you
Mhm.
can do this, you know?
That is the most important thing, and that's what's also helped me get so far, because you and our other community have always cheered me on. And because I've always been not a part of the community, I've never been a part of it. To come into something like this, it's like, God, is this for real? Like,
Yeah.
but it's amazing. It really is amazing how many women are there to open their hearts to us. And like, if someone's having a bad day, we literally lift them up and we give them motivation. If not all of us reply, at least some people reply, and it's amazing because that little bit that's there, we really work together. And I mean, that's so important. Women are not alone.
No, we don't have to be alone. As alone as we may feel, trapped in the cycle of motherhood, maybe a wife or being a single mom, having a full-time job, having to clean a house, all these responsibilities. It's nice to just sometimes say, shit, today I just don't feel like being a human being, and having somebody just say, that's all right. I'll sit with you while we just be a blob on the floor. We got this. So it really is so amazing to have that. And Bridge, before we end our call, I can't believe we've been on for 45 minutes already, but is there anything that you just want to share lastly for any moms in general? Because, single moms, full-time moms, whatever, we're all in this together.
Well, just for the moms that are out there, like, reach out to the community, join us. You're not alone. Even if you feel like you're alone and you're too embarrassed or too shy to reach out to the group itself, you're welcome to private message me. Terri doesn't mind her private messages blowing up either. And somebody will have your back. So don't be afraid, you're never alone.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest thing, is that once you actually just speak up, once you realize that you're not alone. And I think it's so important for us as moms to be finding our voices, so that we can raise our children differently, so that our children know how to be functioning adults, and it might not happen in this generation that we are raising, because, we've had to heal a lot of our own trauma, but in the generations that they raise, and the generations to come, we're healing for multiple generations all in this lifetime. It really is a beautiful and scary time to be alive.
It is, for sure. But you know what? It's worth it. It really is worth it. So just keep believing in yourself.
Absolutely. Bridgett, thank you so much for your time and for joining this lovely podcast. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to actually come onto the Healing Motherhood podcast because you have a story to share, please do reach out to me so that we can arrange that. And so we have a little comment here. Massive respect to all the single moms who show up every day and still show so much love to those around them. Amazing. Thank you for that. And thank you, Bridge. Take care. See you all soon.
Thank you for having me, Terri.
Bye.
Bye.